So Mike Tomlin was resigning while the press conference with owner Steve Bisciotti of the Baltimore Ravens and general manager Eric decosta were having their little chat to the media. So I guess it got brought up to Steve Bisciotti about, well, wait a minute, is Mike Tomlin an option? Well, let's play that clip of Steve's reaction.
He did? Is it official?
That's what I keep hearing. So is he a candidate here?
Holy shit, Mike, wouldn't that be awesome? Only if John takes the Pittsburgh job. Wow, wouldn't that be interesting? I don't know, that thing last week maybe disqualified him for my opening after our kicker missed a kick to let them advance. Good for Mike. Yeah, I don't know. Talk to him. I love Mike. I mean, I've admired Mike for 18 years, and that's really shocking that he did it that way. But yeah, that's kind of crazy.
So what we're hearing, Zach, unless John Harbaugh goes there, then he kind of joked, well, I'm going to leave it up to EDC and Ozzie. No. Steve's going to have a choice in that. And then number 3, it pissed him off with the chest pump and the kiss at the end. And you know what? In rivalries, good. It should piss you off. That was heartbreaking, But in all seriousness, Mike Tomlin's a hell of a coach. If you're a team that is really interested, yeah, you want to see what the price would be or what his interest is. But, Zach, for what we just talked about, it ain't going to be the option in Baltimore. And I don't know historically if we really have seen that. Have we? If anyone in the chat, let us know if we've seen that. I just can't recall a coach going from a rival, directly from a rival to another rival, So we'll see.
Yeah, he will not be the coach in Baltimore. I feel very confident in that, and I'm glad Steve jokingly, but still kind of put that to rest pretty quickly. I will say I'm very scared of the Steelers head coaching search because the more I see it, it looks like everyone in the media is saying Brian Flores there, which I think would be very scary in the division. But no, Mike Tomlin will not be. I don't see Tomlin going to Baltimore. I don't see John going to Pittsburgh, although funny enough, John to Pittsburgh would be really funny. I think maybe this is the start of a new chapter in Ravens Steelers. Maybe we see 2 young head coaches, another, rivalry birth there. But I would be very shocked if Mike Tomlin even interview. I don't think Mike Tomlin's coaching next year to start.
I don't think so either.
I just don't think we see Tomlin. I think Tomlin goes into TV for a year, and then after that, maybe he comes back. Honestly, if you look at the job cycles outside of Baltimore and Pittsburgh, there's no big opening that you're like, oh, like Tomlin could wait 2 years for his ideal opening. Like that's the thing is he could wait for someone to either open up. And here's the thing. If Tomlin, waits this out next year, he could call a team and be like, hey, if you guys are looking for a new head coach, I'm in. And teams would get rid of their guy if they're struggling. I mean, in a heartbeat. So would not be surprised if after this season, Tomlin kind of forces his way into someplace because why wouldn't they want him?
I mean, again, going back to all this for Mike, I think it was the perfect storm of how it ended in Pittsburgh on Monday night in Houston, which I haven't heard from Rocco, by the way. I saw some tweets. He hasn't texted me personally after the Steelers loss. So hopefully, Rock, you're okay. But for Mike Tomlin, Zach, I think for the Steelers, I really think they said, hey, we got to have a hard look at this. And we need to make a reset. And making this reset means that they have to change things philosophically themselves. Because the frustration that's been in Baltimore for Ravens fans has been the roster not getting you to a place that you were looking to achieve for the third time in team history. That's to win a Super Bowl and get to the Super Bowl. But for the Steelers, they've been looked at as a team that has been maybe undermanned roster construction-wise, which I don't even like saying that because these are grown-ass men. They're battling their ass off. But when you're looking at them compared to Baltimore from an offensive standpoint and a total team standpoint, it's different. Now, Pittsburgh has beaten Baltimore the majority of the times over the last 13 matchups. But the biggest difference to me is, are the Steelers contenders? So, like, during this time, the Ravens have been given that, yep, they could go win a Super Bowl and they could be a top team. Pittsburgh, it's been, well, if they get in, they're in, but no one thinks they're going to make noise. And the record has showed that since 2016 for Pittsburgh. So I think it's a combination of a reset, Zach. I think that Tomlin understood that. The ball's in his court, and there's such a mutual respect that him stepping away, it could benefit Pittsburgh in the long run if someone wants to trade for Mike Tomlin. So fascinating to see. But how about that? Mike Tomlin, John Harbaugh. I know a lot of people thought that it could or should happen over the last couple of years, but did you think it was going to happen within the same week structure?
To the day. I will say this, we kind of got more clarity that this was kind of inevitable. Like, we all joked about loser of, who if Tyler Loop's kick goes in, Tomlin's fired. If it misses, Harbaugh's fired. I think both were leaving no matter what, because we now got a little bit more clarity. Steve Bisciotti was asked in his press conference, hey, Steve, if Tyler Loop makes that field goal, he said, is John Harbaugh still the coach of this team? And Steve Bisciotti, in the most mob boss way possible, goes, for another week. I think the decision was made. I think they knew, unless the Ravens pulled off a run and went to the Super Bowl, I just think that the writing was on the wall. And maybe if Pittsburgh would have squeaked out last night and Tomlin gets another win and, he ends this streak, maybe we would have seen something differently there. But it kind of is getting that feeling of, we all thought going into week 18, it was, hey, winner stays, loser goes, not just talking the teams in the playoffs. We're talking coaches. I think that was just one last hurrah. That was one last good one for the road. And I know it did not end in the way that Ravens fans wanted it to end. But after 18 years, 40 matchups, I tweeted this out. It was only right that John Harbaugh and Mike Tomlin went out the same year, and their final battle came down to an instant classic. Week 18, winner goes to the playoffs in Pittsburgh. It's a cold, windy night. And after all the battles they've had, after everything they've been through together, all of the highs and lows, the win streaks, the losing streaks, the criticism, the praise, it came down to one kick to end it all. And yes, Loop missed it. And I mean, now if you're a Steelers fan, you're probably wishing he would have made it because you would have gotten a way better draft pick. But
way better.
Yeah. That's how it should have ended. That's how it should have ended. It sucks that Loop didn't make it, but it coming down to that situation, to that scenario for both of them as their final face-off for their final regular season game each as the head coaches of their respective franchises. That's how it should have ended. So I'm glad it did.
So I think we should play a couple clips from the Harbaugh or the Bisciotti presser, if that's okay. I have one about Lamar specifically, and I honestly wish I had the Todd Monken part brought up of, I saw one thing saying on Bisciotti on Lamar being the quarterback. And I want to have the thing of Todd Monken when he's talking about plays of everyone wants the ball. Well, yeah, no shit. I want Lamar Jackson to be our quarterback. Yeah, no shit. He's a fantastic player. But I want, Zach, your homework real quickly. And again, we're on the caw system right now. Do we understand that? Are you putting something up do you have a caw?
Are you talking about the tweet from Jeff?
The tweet from Jeff could be one thing. I was trying to see if we had the video of Bisciotti talking about with players coming to the house? Do we have that? Or even how it all went down with Harbaugh when the firing with the phone? If you could find either one of those right there, Zach. And again, the Ryan Ripken Show policy for today is what, Zach? A little bit more enthusiastic. Do you have it?
We are working on it. We are in the process of almost getting it done. It is on. We're in the process of considering starting the process of having this all come together. Actually.
So we got a lot of things that we can kind of go through. What is the process that you're starting with?
We're going with Lamar and Eric DeCosta.
Okay, let's talk about Lamar and Eric DeCosta. Play the clip.
Steve, you did mention that you invited Lamar to come up for the interviews if he wants to the final round of interviews and everything. When it's all said and done, how much of a say will Lamar have in the head coach selection?
A lot of say, but he has no power. I have the power. They have opinions, and I want them all. I care about my players very much, but I can't give them power.
That's a cold man. That is a stone cold. Steve Bisciotti, he's a mob boss. I don't know if we can prove it or if this was like a past life type of thing, but somewhere in him is a little mob boss because that one, there's two things that I want to get to really fast. That this is the time. This is the new thing. Your franchise quarterback does have a say. He doesn't have power, and I like that, Steve. I actually love Steve's answer to that because it's so true. It's like so many people will be like, oh, well, Lamar, or not even just Lamar, in any league, you see it in the NBA a lot. Mm-hmm. When a player is or a coach is fired and they're like, oh, well, the star player's going to pick whoever he wants as the coach. He may have an opinion, but it's not best to make sure that they pick or have the power to make that decision. So I think it's awesome that Steve is taking into account. He said, all players I care about, everyone has an opinion, and I want all of them. I want every opinion while we're making this decision. But the second thing is, this is just the new way that things happen. I asked Tony Dungy about this last week of, hey, Coach, how much say should Lamar have in this? And Coach Dungy, Super Bowl champion. This is a guy who was around the league for a long time, a very respected member of this league, Hall of Famer. He said he shouldn't at all. But 15 years ago, he's right. The players, that wasn't a thing. But we've gotten to a point in the league and just in sports in general where if you have a franchise quarterback, he needs to have some sort of a say. Not power to make the hiring, but let's say Bisciotti and them are deciding between two guys and they talk to Lamar and Lamar's like, hey, I just don't mesh. I don't think I'd mesh well with that guy. I don't think this would go well. Or, hey, I love this guy. I love what he's doing. I'm super excited. Would love to work with him, all that. You're going to take that and be like, okay, our star quarterback, our MVP player, okay, if he prefers this guy, let's take that into account. Because we don't want to make him upset off the rip. So I think it's also a sign of how the league has changed over the years. Because 15 years ago, a player wasn't picking the coach.
Hell no.
But it's kind of changed in the way that we perceive star players and kind of the say they have in these big situations.
So one thing that we have continued to have this conversation about is you need to be aligned with your big powers in the organization. And now a big power in the organization is your stars, and specifically your franchise quarterback. There are other clips, Zach, if you can find it as well. Kaka on the Bisciotti was talking about how Lamar just isn't a confrontational person and essentially like debunked that he didn't have anything against Harbaugh or anything against Monken, doesn't know where that's all come from. But Steve ended up saying, well, just give me some of your thoughts on how things are. Because you know what? What you're hearing is a guy that really, for all the reasons they slander Lamar, for all the reasons that I still don't think is fair. If you want to talk about not winning and the team's not winning the postseason, okay, that's fine. But to make it something else that there's this agenda, no. But one thing I do want to point out here, when we're talking about alignment and continuity, if you are looking to make the fourth head coach of the Baltimore Ravens and you're making that decision and Lamar Jackson's in your 3 to 5 year plan, which he is, and hopefully he's here for 7 or longer, Zach, but like realistically, you don't know, but 3 to 5 years, that's fair to say. I think that everyone would agree. Yeah. Your next head coach better get along with the guy that you believe is going to win another MVP, maybe 2, and is going to give you the best chance to go to the Super Bowl. You better be on the same page as him. And it doesn't, and Lamar to me doesn't have that ego that he's going to be a problem with that. But of course, you want to make sure it aligns. Now, above all those, Zach, where does it start? Bisciotti and decosta and the head coach, they got to have to be on the same page. But it does help hearing from some of your star guys what matters. Because can I say a little analogy or at least another example for baseball? Let me give you a little bit of an enlightening conversations on the baseball side in Baltimore. When they fired Brandon Hyde, what did the Orioles do? They brought in some veteran guys and asked, hey, what went wrong in your mind? And that's why when people were getting so mad with the Orioles and Michael Elias, I give so much props that there's some things that I will eventually maybe say or not. But I give props to, he said, we have to identify what our issue is because clearly we didn't meet our standards. So let me talk to the guys that are going to be here. Tell me, give me your feedback, because a coach's feedback and a player's feedback, they're going to have some differences. And the job of the owner and the GM is to say, all right, where do we piece this together so it's a full unit again and we're back to doing what we're supposed to do, win games. So that does matter. They don't have the ultimate decision, Zach, but they should have an input, especially if they're considered to be big parts of the team. So I'm really interested to see what the Ravens decide to do. They had, their 8th interview today, and it was Brian Flores that we saw was the interview candidate, which I'm with you, dude. I think Flores to Pittsburgh would make a hell of a lot of sense if you want to stay defensive and keep that culture. But it depends on what they're looking for moving forward.